And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Charles versus Wooden. Step forward, please.
Production worker Phyllis Charles is suing her former friend, auto detailer Samuel Trell Wooden, for an unpaid loan for $1,000. Trell says Phyllis is lying.
Miss Charles, it's your claim that you made a loan to the defendant in the amount of $1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant says he never borrowed any money from you. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what all that junk is?
This here is this outfit that he bought, and we bought an amp from him because he said he was doing so bad.
Put it over there.
Thank you.
What did you make the loan for?
Well, he said that him and his girlfriend and his baby was going to be evicted.
Was he a friend of yours?
Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Go ahead.
And after he told me that, you know, I was like, okay. And then my boyfriend said, well, you know, go on and loan the money. I said I would. He had a story like he needed $500 for his rent. He was going to move, which is why I didn't question it.
Does any of this sound right to you, sir?
I don't know what she's talking about, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Well, that's what he told me in my house.
Was anybody else there?
My boyfriend was.
Step up here. Tell me your last name, sir.
Washington.
Mr. Washington, do you know the defendant?
Yes, I do.
How long have you known him?
A long time. Now almost 20 years.
Well, do you remember this conversation in the house about money?
Yes, I do.
Well, look at me when you talk. Don't look at her. Tell me about when that happened.
Well, I think it was like in March that he had came to us and he was like stating the fact that he had needed some money for his rent. And at the present time, they were going to be evicted. Now, all of us is good friends, so it wasn't really no problem about the money itself. And so shortly after that, there, you know, he came and he took us to the bank. We got the money out the bank, and she gave it to him.
How much money did you loan him?
$1,000.
Let me see proof that you loaned him $1,000.
I have that where I drew $2,000 out March 1st.
Why did you take out $2,000?
Well, the other $1,000 was for me. I bought furniture, I bought a entertainment center, and I paid some bills and stuff. That's it.
Is this a checking account?
Savings.
Now, did he give you any of the money back?
$100. I ran it off, and I put when he gave it to me.
Let me see. Now you can explain to me about all that stuff is that you bought,
Okay,
because maybe it has a reason in this case.
Yeah, maybe it does.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Phyllis Charles says former friend Samuel Trell Wooden owes for a $1,000 loan. Trell claims Phyllis never gave him any money.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, he did come to the house, okay? And then about the end of April, I'll say.
After you had loaned him the money?
Yeah, after I loaned him the money.
Yeah.
He called my house. He wanted him to come and pick him up from Pet Boys. When he picked him up from Pet Boys, he came back with a bag with this outfit. And then I had him to call. And I said, why did, we call him Trail. I said, why Trail gave you, you know, the outfit instead of sending me my money? So he said, no, you call him, you ask him. So I asked Trail, you know, you bought him an outfit and you didn't send me my money. Then all of a sudden I heard the phone just drop or hang up. So he called back. I don't know what was discussed between them on the phone.
Well, what happened when you called back?
No, he was like this, basically saying, you know, man, why is your woman, you know, calling my house with all that, you know, BS and stuff, man? I ain't with that. Won't you just tell that was like this gift, you know, because...
I don't understand the word you just said to me.
A gift.
I want to know what was the discussion that you had with him after your fiancé
when
gave
she
you
called,
a hard time.
When I called back, right, and he got back on the telephone, I told him, you know what I'm saying, man, what's happening? He said, man, look at him. Don't have your woman calling my house with all that bullshit. That's what he said. And so I was like, well, man, the girl want her money. You know, she hot about the amount about the money. You know what I'm saying? We bought the outfit, and I already knew it was going to happen like that, though. So then me and him, we further went to talking about the issue. Then that was it. That was the end of the conversation.
All right. Did you have that conversation with Mr. Washington? No, listen to me. I want you to remember the conversation that you had with Mr. Washington. Did you speak to him about having his fiancée call your house?
I did speak with him about that.
And you told him to stop having her call the house?
That's right.
And she was calling the house about what, Mr. Wooden?
That I don't know. It's just something she just come up with. You know what I'm saying? Calling my house, talking about some money that I borrowed from her. Number one, Your Honor, I don't have to borrow no money from them because most of the time I wind up, you know, like he going to jail, I'm bonding him out of jail. If she got $1,000 to give to me, why she can't go bond him out of jail?
All right, you had a conversation with Mr. Washington. Do you remember hanging up on the plaintiff?
That's right, I remember that.
Because she was bothering you about money.
That's right.
And you've known her for how long?
24, 25 years. I've been doing it for a long time.
For a long time. So now she's calling your house and bothering you about money that she says you borrowed from her, that you owe her. Is that right?
That's what she's saying.
That's what she said. Now, in the 24, 25 years that you've known the plaintiff, have you ever known her to be psychiatrically hospitalized?
Yes.
How many times was she in a psychiatric hospital?
To be honest with you, I really couldn't tell you because I'm so used to being incarcerated. So I couldn't tell you.
Mr. Wooden, listen to me very carefully, sir. Do you know what I mean by psychiatrically hospitalized? In the hospital because you're nuts.
She is.
Shh. Have you ever been psychiatrically
No,
hospitalized?
ma'am.
Of course not.
No, ma'am.
Of course not. So she's not crazy.
Thank you.
So, Miss Charles, you've seen my courtroom before?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
So you know a few things. You know what I always say. If you're going to make a loan to somebody, you put it in what?
Writing.
Right. And you didn't do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So that
Yes,
was a
ma'am.
big mistake.
Right.
So you didn't learn really well.
Right.
So now you put me in the position of having to make a decision as to whether or not you loaned him money, because he doesn't say it was a gift. He doesn't say it was a payback.
Yes, ma'am.
He says, she never gave me any money. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's why we put things in writing when we make a loan.
Right.
Because now I have to decide whether or not Mr. Wooden is a liar.
Right.
Or you're a liar.
Right.
Now, Mr. Wooden,
Yes, ma'am.
this lady you've known for 25 years, and she's not crazy.
She is crazy.
Shh, no.
About my money,
No.
yes.
She's not crazy. What she is angry
For what?
because you borrowed money from her, sir.
Nah.
Yes, you did. Oh, yes, you did. There isn't a reason in the world that I can think of, unless you can tell me the reason, why this lady who's known you for 24 years, or her fiancé who's known you for 20 years, would concoct this story about $1,000. She could have said, I lent him $2,000 because she withdrew $2,000 from her bank. She didn't say I lent him $2,000. She said she lent you $1,000. And he was a witness. And she kept calling you on the telephone to say, where's my money? And then, and this you verify, she got angry when you went and bought the fiancé an outfit. She called you again. Why are you buying him an outfit if you owe me money? Give me the $25 or the $30 that you spent on his outfit. What are you giving it to him for? And then you hung up on her. And then he called you back, and you said he called you back. You see, little pieces sometimes make the truth. So you owe her $900 because you already paid her back $100. Judgment for the plaintiff. Put it in writing.
I will next time.
That's all.
Parties are excused.
Thank
You may step
you.
out.
She a psycho. That's it.
He a liar.
She
Liar.
crazy. You know what I'm
He
saying?
crazy about my money. He don't know how to pay people back.
That's some counterfeit money she had done made up, man.
He counterfeit.
I got money, man. I don't need her money.
He ain't have to lie about it. Whatever he done with the money, that's fine.
What I'm gonna do with her money? $1,000 ain't gonna do nothing to me, man. I done been
He
through
did.
plenty
He
money.
painted your car.
Well, me, I find it funny, you know what I'm saying? To be honest with you, right?
They ain't gonna come between us, man. We still gonna be brothers for life.
All y'all that he owe money, y'all better get him on Judge Judy.
School bus driver Dolly Hilton is suing her boyfriend's ex-girlfriend, leasing consultant Andrea McElroy, for keying her car. Andrea is denying the charge.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 286 on the calendar in the matter of Hilton versus McElroy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Hilton, the defendant is a friend of your current boyfriend's. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that for some bizarre reason, she vandalized your car. You were not present when that happened. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And yet you believe that she did it. The defendant says she had no reason to vandalize your car and she didn't do it. Boyfriend?
Yes, ma'am.
Who's he?
He's a friend of her boyfriend's.
Who saw her vandalize your car?
Joseph.
Joseph, step up, please. Joseph, what's your last name?
Guillory.
Mr. Guillory, I want you to tell me, start from the beginning, sir, and tell me what you know about this evening, which is the 25th of July, 2002.
Okay. Me and Andrea and my friend Dre and another girl named Bridget, we went to the club called the Hurricane Hut. We were all having a good time. We had a few drinks. And after the club, we came back to my stepmom's house. We was playing a sex game.
A what?
A sex game.
Sex game.
Right. It was called an authorization game. And Andre asked me, can he mess with Andrea?
Andre asked you.
Right.
if he can mess with this lady,
Right.
why would he ask your permission?
Because we was playing an authorization game.
Oh, that's
You had
part
to
of the
ask for
game.
it. It's part of the game.
Go ahead.
And I said, yeah. And I had to ask her, can I mess with her friend, Bridget? And so they were messing around, and we were messing around. She looked over and saw me. Well, she saw Bridget sliding up and down on me and thought we were having sex, but we wasn't. And she got mad, and she said she was fisting to go. And I said, well, I'm fisting to go too. She said, well, where are you going to spend the night tonight? I said, I'm going home to Dolly.
To this lady?
Right. She got mad and said, oh, you going home to that? And so they walked out.
Who walked out?
Andrea and Bridget. So I proceeded to walk out too, but I was like about 3 or 4 minutes behind them. So I just happened to look out the window and I seen her keying up the car.
Keying whose car?
Dolly's car.
You mean you had driven her car that evening? You didn't tell me about it.
No, her car was parked in the parking lot. And we took my homeboy's car, but when we came back, yeah, Dolly's car was still there.
So you drove her car over to this apartment complex
Right.
where you proceeded to go out for the
Get another
evening
car.
drinking
Yeah.
in another car and then come back to your stepmom's house,
Right.
have sex with a whole bunch of other people, and then you were going to go back to her house with her car. Was that your plan?
Right.
And when you came out, you saw her car in the parking lot, and you saw her doing what?
She was keying the car, and her friend Bridget was right behind her.
What do you mean you saw her keying the car?
Well, I couldn't see what she had in her hand, but she was just going down the car with,
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so what did you do next?
So I proceeded to go outside, but by the time I got all the way to the car, she already had then walked away and hit me on the cell phone, called me on the cell phone. And she said,
called you on the cell phone?
Right. She said, I don't know who black car this is, but I just did up. And I said, why did you do that? And I told her, don't call me no more. She kept calling my phone saying, don't tell her, don't tell her. I said, why not? And she said, well, tell her somebody else did it.
Or else I'm going to tell Dolly what you were doing this evening.
I didn't even know her. All right.
So she kept begging me to tell us that somebody else did it, but I wouldn't do it.
Now I'll hear you.
That night that we went out, it was on the 24th. It was the night before the 25th. We all met at his house. We were all hanging out in the bedroom, watching TV and stuff like that. There was no sex game going on. His friend came on to me, and I said no. And I seen him messing with my friend, and she said she felt uncomfortable. She walked away and told me, and I said, okay, we're leaving. And he said, why are you leaving? And I was like, because you're putting our relationship I didn't like where he was putting the relationship.
What relationship?
We weren't together, but we had a relationship. We were seeing each other.
How were you seeing each other? Were you intimate
He'd come and
with
visit
each
me
other?
when I lived in Austin. He came and spent the night at my house. It was an intimate relationship.
Was it intimate in the month of July of 2002?
Yes, it was. It has been for about 3 years.
Okay,
up
go
until
ahead.
that day. I've only met this girl one time, Dolly. I've only seen her car, I think, in passing, and I couldn't tell you what kind of car it was. The night that we came back, there was no big fight. There was no misunderstanding, no argument. I just told him I didn't like where he was putting our relationship, and I didn't want to talk to him anymore. So me and my friend Bridget, we left. We got in her car and we left. He called me asking me to come back. And we had some words on the phone, and then I got to my house, and that's when she called me. He went and told her that I keyed her car, and she called me telling me all kinds of stuff that I need to watch myself, that she's going to beat my butt or whatever. And
what does he have to do with all this?
Because he's his friend. JoJo went and told him one day that he didn't know who keyed his car.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Q Logan.
Mr. Logan, tell me what you know about this. You clearly weren't there that evening, but did you at some point, she says, have a conversation with Mr. Guillory?
Yes, ma'am. The day after it happened, and he said that he didn't see it. He said he saw her standing near his car. He was in the window. He was inside the house.
Yes.
In the window, he looked out the
So what
window.
did he say to you?
He said he seen her standing near the car, but since he was going to try to sue her, he was going to tell the court that he seen her key the car, which in essence, if you seen someone keying your car, wouldn't you try to go out there and stop them?
I was going outside.
It takes more than 2 or 3 minutes to key the word in somebody's paint job.
So who do you think did that?
I have no idea who did it, but JoJo takes her car at all times of the night. She has no say-so where she can drive her own car. He drops her off at work.
You mean Dolly?
Yes. She pays all the bills. The only thing, the apartment is in his name. He goes where he wants, when he wants. He quit his job because he did not want to pay the amount that they wanted him to pay in child support. So he quit and went to his old job.
What child support? Who does he have a child with?
He has a child with another girl, not Dolly. He quit his job.
Not Dolly, not this lady?
No.
How old is the child?
Maybe about 2 years old.
So he had a relationship with somebody else while he was having a relationship with you. Is there at least one other that you know about?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I.
So.
So.
What?
But see, I knew about it, and I'm not a jealous person. I met that girl that was pregnant by him, and I took her over there to meet him. I never overreacted about anything like that. We had an open relationship, so I don't understand why he would say that I would key his car.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's what I would say to him. But for your antics, my car would be okay. I'm 100% sure of that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Dolly Hilton says her boyfriend's ex, Andrea McElroy, keyed her car. Dolly's boyfriend, Joseph, says Andrea was angry over a sexual game they played with a group of friends.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a cook.
Are you working now?
Yes, I am. I was working 2 jobs.
Are you? You pay child support?
Yes, I do.
But he quit his job making $40,000 a year to go back to working as a cook at
No,
KFC.
that's not why I quit my job.
Yes, it is. You told me it was.
He told all of us it was.
What's your current child support order?
160, and I gave her 20 more
160 a what?
a month.
How much do you earn at your job, working 2 jobs, sir?
No, I was working 2 jobs. I let one go on. I was working on the water offshore, and I was working at KFC too, both of them.
How much do you make now?
How much do I make now? About $1,300 a month.
What kind of work do you do, Miss Hilton?
I drive a school bus.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children do you
I
have?
have 2.
Who pays the rent in your house?
I pay rent, and he also helps pay bills.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to pay for your car. You want to know why? Because I'm not 100% sure she did it, but I'm 100% sure of this. That but for his actions, you wouldn't have any trouble with your car. I'm 100% sure of that.
Your Honor, she...
No, listen to me. I'm 100% sure of that.
No.
I know that I'm not convinced by the required quantum of proof that I need to be convinced by that she keyed your car. I am, however, 100% convinced that but for him, according to his own testimony, your car would not have been placed at risk. Because let's see what he did. He took your car to go out with a bunch of other friends to a club without you. Now, that may be okay. Let's say that's okay. That you said, listen, you want to go out for an evening, go out for an evening. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that you would say go out for an evening with an old girlfriend or a girlfriend who we had been intimate with for 3 years. Can't believe that he actually told you that. But maybe he did. Maybe I'm that old-fashioned. But let's say he didn't tell you. And then from the club, he went back to somebody's house where, according to him, they decided to have a party and play sex games. That's according to him. She said it didn't happen. But let's say I believe him. And it all got very unseemly. And then she got annoyed and she went outside. And maybe she keyed your car, and maybe it was the mother of some other one of his children who keyed your car. Maybe it was somebody else. But one thing I know for sure, but for his total lack of morality, your car would not have been damaged. So he's going to pay for it. He's going to pay for it. And I suggest that you make up your mind. Either he pays for your car and you say to him, because that's what I would say to him, but for your antics, my car would be okay. So either get your behind out of here, away from my 2 children, because you are nothing but a lowlife, and I don't want you, Mr. Lowlife, near my children, or fix my car and straighten up. You got it? Your case is dismissed. Period. End of discussion. Goodbye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kaufman versus Hollett. Step forward, please.
Former bartender Nikki Kaufman is suing her former friend, 24-year-old cook Timothy Hollett, for trashing her car while he was drunk. Timothy says Nikki is also responsible because she was the one who served him the booze.
All right, I'm going to give you the short version of what I gather happened here. I want you to listen carefully, and unless there is any major discrepancy, we're just going to move on. You work in a bar as a bartender. You know the defendant. He must have been a friend of yours because he came to the bar that evening driving your car. He was in the bar all evening. When the bar closed or when they decided to leave, he got into some difficulty. He went outside, got into your car, and trashed your car. I don't care how he trashed your car. He trashed your car. So far, is that correct, Mr. Hollett?
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Hollett acknowledges that he trashed your car. And he acknowledges he trashed your car because he was drunk. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
His defense is that you, as the bartender, served him too much liquor. And therefore, it is your fault that he got into the car and trashed it. What do you do for a living?
I'm a cook in a 5-star restaurant.
Why would you want to blame somebody else for your stupidity?
I'm not necessarily blaming anybody, Your Honor. I'm just saying I do take responsibility for the actions that I've done.
Perfect!
I'm just saying, though, also I think that my judgment would have been clearer if I was not that intoxicated.
I absolutely agree with you, Mr. Hullett. So a 24-year-old man who works as a chef in a 5-star restaurant should know when they've had their limit.
Sometimes,
You're
yes,
not
Your Honor.
7. What do you mean sometimes?
Sometimes
There's
the
nothing
skill-
genetically wrong with you, is there?
Not that I know of.
Can I see the cost of repair for your car, please, Ms. Kaufman? What kind of car do you have?
A 97 Chevy Malibu.
Have any insurance?
Yes, I do.
What kind of deductible do you have?
500.
Mr. Hullett owes you $500. That's your deductible?
Yes.
That's fair, isn't it, Mr. Hullett?
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable to me, too. Thank you. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
A fight broke out, and it ended up back over in the parking lot where I was working, and my car was damaged.
I'm sorry that this whole thing happened.
He got in my car and was going to try to run people over with it, and he hit a couple of cars with mine.
I proceeded to get into a fight, and we thought it was over with. We went back over to the restaurant she was working at, and it followed us over there. Pretty much the rest is history.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Atkins versus Williams. Step forward, please.
Nurse Latricia Atkins is suing her sister-in-law, store owner Alice Williams, for unpaid wages and reimbursement for merchandise. Alice says Latricia was supposed to be a volunteer.
Miss Atkins, the defendant is your sister-in-law. She had been married to your brother who passed away recently. Is that right?
Yes.
When did your brother pass away?
June 2nd of 2000.
How did he die?
Actually, he had a drowning. We don't actually know what really happened.
It is your claim that you went into a partnership with your sister-in-law in a small business. You had been doing some selling at fair,
Like swap meets,
Swap meets.
different people.
and you'd been selling children's clothing?
No, mostly adult clothes.
In any event, your sister-in-law said she was interested in going into a business, and according to you, she put up the money and you put up the skill
Yes.
and the know-how. And you worked and you kept waiting for profits. There were no profits, she said, because she took care of the books. And you are suing her now for what you believe is your fair share of the work that was done.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Williams says that there was never a partnership. You helped her out. You volunteered out of the goodness of your heart. That there was never an arrangement to share the profits. This was her business and her business only. She put up the money. You put up nothing. And she owes you nothing. That's your position.
Absolutely. With the exclusion of, she was a phenomenal help for me. Basically, when I asked her...
I didn't ask you anything yet. Did you say basically?
Absolutely,
that's correct?
yes.
Correct. Okay. Tell me about how this business started with your sister-in-law.
Well, I was in school, and I didn't have any income, so I decided to start taking the little money that I did have and start selling clothes. And she approached me at a barbecue at my sister's house in Lancaster and said that, oh, looks like you're doing pretty good. I would like to be basically a silent partner. You can go find the place and everything, and which I did. I found the place. And,
Just a second.
Okay.
How long had you been doing your selling before she approached you?
Probably a couple of months. I was doing my own thing.
How much money did you make in the 2 months that you were in business before going into an association with your sister-in-law?
Oh, I was making like maybe close to $200-300 a week.
$200 or $300
Yes.
a week?
Yes.
Okay. Then she approaches you and you went and got a different booth?
Yes, she said, you know, I got a little money on the side that I can really, you know, help out, but you can go find the place and I'll basically be a silent partner.
So did you go find a larger place?
Yes, I went and found a larger place.
When?
It was September 13th.
Of what year?
Of 2002.
And how many days a week did you work there?
Just 3 days a week.
How many weeks did you work there?
September 13 to November 20th.
Is that about right?
Yes.
You handled the money, is that right?
Yes, I did.
How much money did you, when you were handling the money, turn over to Miss Atkins during that time?
None, because there was...
Don't, and Just you turned over none. And it is your testimony, Miss Williams, very succinctly, that Miss Atkins gave up her business that she was in for 2 months prior to your approaching her in order to go into your business 3 days a week for approximately 12 weeks as a volunteer. Is that what you want me to believe? I just asking you, is that what you want me to believe?
Yes.
I don't. I don't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Miss Williams, makes no sense for someone who has a business making some extra money. I don't know if it was $200 to $300. I'm not so sure about that. Even if it was $50 a day, it is incredible that she would give up her business to go in and work 3 days a week in your business and not expect to be compensated. It's ridiculous. And it's not true. She had her own business. You mean to tell me she gave it up? She wasn't in love with you. She gave up her business to come and volunteer with yours for nothing? It just didn't happen, Miss Williams. You took advantage of her. So you got to pay for that. Do you look like you're losing?
No.
Now, it's going to be absolutely impossible for me to go back and to say to you, well, what merchandise did you have? What did you sell it for? Because that would have been a partnership. You put up the money. She goes in there and devotes her time. But certainly $50 a day is an appropriate amount of money to pay somebody who works 8 hours a day. And that you're going to pay her. So far, she owes you $1,320. Anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Good. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just glad it's over. It's sad. I didn't want to do this. She asked me to. She basically was volunteering. She knew the business was small. She knew that I was starting out. I still got a lot of love for her. She basically was able to just take advantage. I hate that it went this way. I'm really just glad it's over, and I want nothing else to do with these people.
Medical insurance coordinator Delinda Shubin is suing house cleaner Sandra Greaves for damage to her car caused by her daughter, 14-year-old Chelsea. Chelsea and her mother claim Delinda's daughter, 15-year-old Camellia McIntosh, is also to blame.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 517 on the calendar in the matter of Shubin versus Greaves. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
All right, along with Mrs. Shubin and Mrs. Greaves, I'd like their 2 daughters up here, please. Tell me your first name.
Camellia.
And yours?
Chelsea.
According to what I've read, Chelsea was spending the night at your house. Is that right?
That's correct.
And it is your claim that sometime within that 24-hour period, without your knowledge, consent, or permission, Chelsea drove your car, causing some serious mechanical problems, and you want her mother to pay for half of the damage to your car.
That's correct.
Mrs. Greaves says that she would pay for some of the damage initially. Then the bill came in, and it was a substantial amount of money, and she thinks that your daughter is primarily responsible for what happened with the car, so she's balking at the bill.
That's correct.
Okay. So, Camellia, what date was this when you used your mother's car?
It was, oh my gosh, I think it was October 26th or something. Or not October 26th, December.
Well, October to December. We're not even in the same month.
I know it's the same night of our winter formal, I know that.
Winter formal?
Yes.
When was the winter formal? In what month? Think.
December.
There you go. I knew by the process of deduction we would get somewhere. Ms. Shubin, what was the date in December?
The winter formal was January 11th. That was a Saturday.
Had both of you girls gone to the winter formal?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now tell me what happened with your mother's car.
Well, it was that morning.
Well, tell me what happened. Did you go to sleep?
We went to sleep, we woke up, we were getting ready for the winter formal. We went to the car to get my glitter.
Where was the glitter?
In the passenger seat.
What was the glitter going to be used for?
Our hair.
Why did both of you have to go out to get the glitter?
Because I didn't know where I left it. She was looking on the driver's side, I was looking on the passenger side.
And the car was unlocked?
No, I went inside and I asked my mom if I can get the keys to open the drawer to get the glitter.
Where was your mother when you asked her that question?
She was laying asleep in bed.
And what did she answer you?
She said, well, just go get the glitter inside the car.
And she gave you permission to get the keys?
Yes.
Took the keys and you went outside with Chelsea?
Yes.
And you had the keys in your hand?
Yes.
You opened up the driver's side or the passenger side?
Passenger.
Okay. And?
And then I opened the door for her. I gave her the keys to open the door.
And according to what you told me a moment ago, the glitter was on the passenger seat.
Well, it wasn't on the seat. It was under the seat.
It was under the seat?
Yeah.
What was it doing under? Bert, are you enjoying this as much as I am?
Oh, yes.
I know you
Wonderful tale.
There's nothing like honing your cross-examination skills. You opened up the passenger door.
Yes.
Why are you opening up the driver door?
So she can look on that side.
Yes.
Yes. And her elbow accidentally hit the emergency brake.
Now, where's her body positioned? She's at the driver's side, right?
Yes.
And she's looking under the seat?
Yes. But she was on top of the seat looking under.
No, darling. Listen to me, sweetheart.
Okay.
That doesn't make sense. That may be the story you told your mother. But I want you to see this, okay? Bird, I want you to pull that chair out for me, would you? Just pull it out just a tad. Now, that's the driver's seat in the car.
Yes.
According to you, Chelsea is looking for the glitter under the seat because it's not over the seat. And according to you, she's looking under the driver's seat while sitting in the driver's seat. Is that right?
She was laying on it. She was like...
Show me. Sit down in the driver's seat.
She was like this and then looking under like that.
No. Show me. Show me. She's leaning in the car.
And then she's going like that. She was looking under.
You can't see anything from where your head is, darling.
She was going like that. That's how she was looking.
And then what happened?
And then she accidentally hit the emergency brake.
Show me how you do that. Show me how you do that.
She just hit it.
No. Show me how you do that. I want to see. She's looking all the way down, right?
Yeah.
Looking get down further. You can't see anything from where you're looking. You can't see anything from where you're looking. You see, what you have to do is if you're looking underneath the seat of the car, you have to look from the outside of the car in order to see all the way underneath. See, now I want you to step out. Step out of the driver's side. Now, stop right there. Turn around. Now, get down and look under the seat. That's right. Now that, a girl. Then you can get down. You can't get down if your feet are on top of the car seat. So that's the story you told your mother. It's a story I don't buy. But let's continue on with your fairy tale. Her hand accidentally hit the emergency brake and the car did what?
Started rolling back.
And what happened when it rolled back?
She pushed the brake in.
With her hand?
No, with her foot.
How did she? Oh, that's good. Okay, so show me now. Now I want you to lean over and show me how she's looking underneath. Okay, lean over, show me she's underneath. Okay, now just a second. Let's do this slowly because you're watching her, right?
Yes.
You're watching her carefully.
Yes.
Bend down. You're looking. Now, hand accidentally hit the emergency brake, which is
and then
where?
It went like that.
Like there. Now, show me, with what foot did she put?
Down and went like that. And
she immediately turned around and sat down.
Yeah.
Oh, now I understand. Now it all becomes clear. Now, somehow, from the time that her foot miraculously got a hold of the emergency brake, in order to stop the car from rolling backwards, you got into the passenger seat of the car, and she takes the key, which she's holding, and puts the key in the ignition and turns it on.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know what happened first. Did you get into the passenger side first?
Yes.
And after you got into the passenger side, what happened with the key?
What happened with the key?
Yeah, she's holding the key. She is just... I'll get to you in a minute.
Okay.
So, get to you in a minute.
Okay.
Now that you see what can happen to you, we're going to get to you in a second.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Now, she's holding the key in her hand.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's holding the key in the hand, and she turned on the car.
First, she has to put it in the ignition.
Yeah.
Well, what did she say when she put it in the ignition?
She said that she was going to pull it up.
Pull it up where?
Because she said she knew how to drive a stick. I don't know how to drive a stick, so I couldn't pull it up.
Keep going.
And then she pulled back and then went up the street. And while she was going up the street, she was grinding the gears. And smoke was going out the back.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Shh! You weren't there. All right, Chelsea.
Okay.
Version 2.
Okay. We went into her mom's car, and what happened...
Just a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about this glitter. Is that why you went into the car?
We went in there to look...
Look at my eyes.
We went in there to look for the glitter and to talk. Because her mom was asleep, and we didn't want to awake her mom.
Just a minute. How big is her house? Or does she have a one-room apartment?
No, she has a house.
How many rooms are in the house?
I think 3. There are 3 bedrooms.
Oh, well, so there are three. There are 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
And I assume that her mother only sleeps in one of those rooms.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Then can you explain to me why you had to go into the car to talk?
Well, we were also looking for the glitter.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting down and we were looking, and my arm, my elbow, hit the emergency brake. We rolled back, we rolled down. She ran in to get the keys in the car, and she's like, "Can you drive a stick?" I said, "Yes." And she
Hold
said,
on a second. So here we have a little different story. Here you did not have the keys to the car
No, the
before you
car
got
was
out
open.
there. The car was open.
Yes.
So then she goes inside and gets the keys and comes back outside.
Yes.
And what do you do next?
She's like, "Can you drive a stick?" And I said, "Yes." And she's like, "Why don't you go into the cul-de-sac and drive back up?"
Why is that?
Because it was at a better angle than just driving it back up the driveway, because we didn't want her mom to know, because we were afraid her mom was going to be upset. So we went to the cul-de-sac, and she's like, "Well, why don't you just go up the street?" We went up the street 2 times and pulled back in.
What did you say to her when she said, "Well, why don't we just go up the street"?
I said, "Okay."
Why?
Because I thought it would be fun just to go joyriding.
Mm-hmm. Car making a lot of noise when you had it out?
No, it didn't grind at all.
Okay. Now, at some point, you got up.
That's correct.
What time did you get up?
It was about 10:30.
When did you go out to your car?
I ended up going outside probably about 11:30.
11:30, you got into your car?
That's about the time that I got into the car and pulled out of the driveway.
Okay. Where were you going?
I had to go pick my nephew up from school.
And where is that?
That's about 2 miles from my house.
So you drove 2 miles there and 2 miles back, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So when you got home and you sensed that something wasn't right with your car, what did you do?
I immediately confronted Camellia and Chelsea.
And what did they tell you?
They proceeded to deny to me that they knew anything was wrong with the car. And then Chelsea told me that her elbow hit the emergency brake, and
They gave you this baloney story about the elbow hitting emergency brake.
and they miraculously pushed the car back up into the driveway.
Okay, but that wasn't true because they actually drove the car.
I found out later that evening that they did.
Did you have the car fixed?
Yes, I did.
And how much did it cost you to have it fixed?
A total of $1,877.50. And I have
see?
the invoices here.
Can I see it, please?
Yes.
You don't think that you should pay that whole amount, I assume?
That is correct. We initially agreed to split the costs when I spoke to Sandra. But
And
then
that was for the clutch. And I was willing to pay for 2/3 of the clutch because of Chelsea's participation in their joyride. But
You're not responsible for 2/3 of the clutch. Listen, I don't even think that you're responsible for half, but I do think that you're responsible for a portion of this bill. I'm going to tell you why you're responsible for more. Because her daughter was an invited guest at your house. And what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to be vigilant about, is when you have teenagers in your house, you are supposed to make sure that they can't get their hands on your car keys. That's your responsibility. According to your daughter, you gave her permission to have control of your car. That's according to your daughter, right?
Mm-hmm. Can I also raise a point?
Sure.
I was up till about 3 o'clock in the morning when she had stayed the night also because I try to be a good role model parent to keep an eye on teenagers because I don't know what they have in mind.
You're absolutely right. You never can tell.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
my other brother who I was in business with, who my mother talked me into going into business with this brother.
How old are you?
Old enough to know better.
So don't blame anybody else for your mistakes. I want to hear about the $3,000.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Delinda Shubin claims her car was damaged by her daughter's friend, 14-year-old Chelsea Greaves. Chelsea says Delinda's daughter, 15-year-old Camellia, is also to blame.
Okay. All I'm telling you is it was your responsibility to be vigilant and to make sure that these 2 girls couldn't get their hands on your car keys, because if something had happened to her daughter, you would have been responsible. Now, that doesn't let you off the hook totally, because you knew you were doing the wrong thing, right?
Yes.
And I have to attempt to earmark responsibility, because certainly the one who's going to suffer is your mother. Not her fault, right? You didn't have any money. How old are you?
14.
So you didn't have any money. The one who's going to suffer is your mother. Now, she had no responsibility whatsoever. She assumes that if her daughter is staying over at somebody else's house, the other adult responsible is going to make certain that their kids can't get into trouble or can't get hurt. But unfortunately, you are partially responsible. And I think you're a third responsible. I think you're a third responsible, and I think you're a third responsible, and I think you're a third responsible. Because I don't think that your mother should be half responsible when the plaintiff was in a position to say to her daughter, you can't have my car keys. You want to go looking for glitter? I'll go look for the glitter with you. I'm not giving you the keys to the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $600, which is 1/3 of the damage. That's all.
Oh, these are excused. You may step out.
They didn't feel they were responsible at all.
I just don't think that she caused the problem.
Actually, I never asked her to take it around the block.
I was wrong, and I really wish I could take it back because I wouldn't do it.
And no, I'm never going joyriding ever again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Westervelt versus Weaver. Step forward, please.
20-year-old college student Michael Westervelt is suing fellow college student Brian Weaver for pain and suffering. Michael says Brian damaged her hearing when he set off a firecracker.
How old are you?
22.
You know what your IQ is? You know what an IQ is?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what your IQ is?
No, I don't.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a bellman at a hotel.
How long have you been steadily and gainfully employed?
4 years.
Do you live alone?
Nope, I live with 2 roommates.
Do you pay your bills on time?
Yep.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, I do.
You have insurance?
Yes, I do.
So you think you're a pretty responsible guy?
I would say so.
Then why would a reasonably nice-looking, seemingly normal, 22-year-old responsible guy who maintains a job, maintains a bank account, drives a car, has insurance, fool around with firecrackers and set them off in a house? Do you want to tell me why somebody would do that?
Yeah, just at a party, everyone's drinking.
So you were drunk?
I wasn't drunk. I'm saying everyone
Had you
was
had
drinking.
something to drink?
I had.
How much did you have to drink?
Few cocktails.
What was the date of this party?
I don't know exactly. I'd say 5 days before Christmas.
In somebody's apartment?
It was in somebody else's house.
But indoors?
Indoors. We were in the kitchen. About 6 of us were standing in the kitchen making drinks. There was about another 10 people out in the living room. And I saw some firecrackers on the counter. I was going to throw them in the sink.
You mean you were going to light them first?
Light them and throw them in the sink.
You weren't just going to throw them in the sink. You were going to light them and throw them in the sink.
Right.
How big were the firecrackers?
I don't know. Lady fingers, about 1.5 inches.
How many did you pick up?
I picked one.
So you picked up the firecracker.
Picked up the firecracker. Sink's in front of me. I'm standing in the doorway. This is the living room. I'm in the kitchen. I go to light it. The fuse takes off quicker than I anticipated. And in panic, I kind of flung it up in the air. It went out this way into the room above about 9 other people's heads. And after the bang...
And it exploded.
And exploded in the air. And after the bang, when people found out what it was, everyone pretty much calmed down, except for Michael, and she was pretty angry.
Shaken up.
And bitter. Yeah, she was
and
shaken
angry.
up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Just because you can't see it doesn't mean you're not liable. That's for me to decide whether your stupid, irresponsible, childlike actions caused her discomfort.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Westervelt is suing fellow college student Brian Weaver for pain and suffering. Michael says Brian damaged her hearing when he set off a firecracker.
Okay, you're suing him for $5,000 because you say because of that you have bad hearing. Show me.
Well, Your Honor, when he threw the firecracker, it didn't explode in the air. It exploded parallel between my ear and my friend who was sitting next to me. So when the firecracker exploded, it was, I mean, a couple inches closer, it would have been hitting my face. I mean, it was right there.
He's an idiot. There's no question about that.
Yeah, so...
Show me what it says about your medical bills and show me what it says about your hearing test.
These are the 2 bills that I have. And then this is a hearing test. And it shows that my left ear is 100% and my right ear, the damage from the... I had pressure and ringing, and I've had headaches ever since the incident.
What were the firecrackers doing in this house?
I have no clue. What was the damage to her ear before that incident?
No. I can only tell from what she tells me. She tells me that she had headaches afterwards and that she had ringing in her ear. I don't know what her hearing was before that. It's part of the problem because she doesn't have expert testimony with regard to that. But you certainly are responsible for some part of the discomfort that she had, certainly for all of her bills.
But I don't feel that because there was 9 other people in the room and she's the only one that had a problem with it.
So?
So I don't know if there was ringing or headaches. I mean, how do I know she didn't have headaches before this?
She may have. She says she didn't.
I don't feel that I owe her money for her ears, personally.
Well, let me ask you this question, sir. What if the firecracker, instead of going off a couple of inches away from her face, hit her face and burned her face? Would you feel as if you were responsible?
Sure, because I would see that there was no burn mark before she came into the party. And
then I have to say, just because you can't see it doesn't mean you're not liable. That's for me to decide. Whether your stupid, irresponsible, childlike actions caused her discomfort. If I find that they did, you are responsible. Now, you may not be responsible to the full extent that she wants you to be responsible, but you certainly are responsible. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a full-time student.
What day of the week was this?
It was a Friday, and it was the end of finals for school, so everybody was celebrating.
Okay. Did you go home immediately afterwards?
Afterwards, my friend drove me to my sister's house, which was closer to the location and that we were partying at. And I immediately told her what kind of discomfort I was in. And my mother is an RN, and I saw her the next day, and I still had the ringing. And
how long did it last?
The ringing lasted for 3 days, and I've had headaches ever since. And after he threw the firecracker, I turned around to see who did it. And he was pointing and laughing. It was humiliating. You know, everybody in the kitchen.
Shouldn't have been humiliating to you because he was acting like a fool.
I know he was acting like a fool, but just the pain, immediate pain, you know, and to have somebody laugh at you because of it.
Okay, but I wasn't laughing.
He's a fool. He can't help it.
All right, Your Honor.
Listen to me. It's genetic. It's genetic. He doesn't get it. Did he ever come over and apologize to you? What did you say when you got the flowers and the note from him the next day? Did you call him and thank him?
I wish I could have.
Yeah, because they never came.
No.
And the follow-up also never came. A week later, a couple of weeks later?
Nothing.
He can't help it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can't help it. You know? Yeah. I mean, it's not a legal defense, you know, his genetic infirmity. But I want you to have some sort of sympathy for him because he's going to be like that forever. He's cooked. So I can't say, you know, when he grows up, he'll get better. When he grows up, he'll get smarter. When he grows up, his IQ will increase. This is what it is, madam. You have to have a certain amount of sympathy for him. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Firecrackers thrown in the middle of the air, and she's the only person that's going to have ear problems. I mean, you know, who's to say she didn't have ear problems before?
You throw a firecracker at somebody's face, there's going to be a problem afterwards, you know?
I don't even think it went by her. It was by 9 other people.
I just hope he can grow up.
I think it's absolutely bogus. I apologize.
Okay, I accept his apology, and I hope he learns from this.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Simon versus Calverledge, step forward, please.
25-year-old grant writer Jennifer Simon is suing her ex-roommate, 24-year-old designer Katie Calverledge, for breaking their apartment lease. Katie says she moved out because Jennifer has a temper.
All right, let's get some stipulated facts here so that we can move on with this case quickly. Miss Simon, the defendant was a roommate of yours in a shared house.
That's correct.
And according to you, she left 1 month prior to her agreed tenancy.
Yes.
Owing some $900 in rent.
Yes.
The defendant says that while she did agree to remain initially agreed to remain as a roommate and share expenses for the month of January, she was forced to move out because of the behavior that was going on in the house.
Yes.
And you also say, Miss Simon, that when she left some of her personal property there that was there during the month of January in 2003.
That's correct, making the room unrentable.
Okay. Why did you move out?
I moved out because the behavior that I was dealing with, living with them in the apartment, was
tell me about
unreasonable.
Tell me about the behavior.
Loud, fighting, screaming, physical fighting.
Who was fighting?
Jen and her roommate Amit.
Tell me about it.
I would come out of the shower at 8 o'clock in the morning and there would be screaming and fighting in the hallway. It generally consisted of Jen trying to strike Amit and he would try to hold her back. And
how many times did this happen?
Probably 15, 20 times.
Okay, and when did you speak to her about it?
The first week of November, last week of October. I spoke to both of them at the same time, and I told them the reasons I was unhappy living there, that being one of them, and that if it continued and if I continued to feel uncomfortable living there, I would go back to our original agreement, which was to move out the end of December.
Did they agree to that?
Yes, they acknowledged I was upset and that that was my wishes.
No. Did they agree to the fact that they would allow you to modify your rental agreement with them?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, I don't remember. Amit and I tend to fight sometimes.
Is he your boyfriend?
No, he's not. We've been friends for a long time, but I don't recall the conversation that she's talking about, nor do I ever remember talking about a different move-out time. Our lease ended January 31st, and we were all supposed to live there until January 31st.
Can I ask a question?
Of who?
Of Jen.
No, you asked me.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, you can ask me.
When I originally moved in, I was told that the lease ended December 31st,
That's true.
not January.
I was taking a shorthand, a bit of a shorthand. Okay. Originally, the lease was up the end of December, but then you all agreed to extend it until the end of January.
Yes.
That was by agreement, so I made a shorthand. Now, when after October and November were you subjected to the kind of behavior that forced you to move, and did you in fact tell Miss Simon that you were moving?
Yes.
What reason did you give her?
I told her that I did not appreciate being witness to the fighting.
When did you tell her that?
The first week of November.
No. After that, you stayed November. You stayed
the first
December.
week of December. The first week of December, I told her my father was coming to town to move my things out the following week, the second week of December.
Is that correct that she moved her things out in December?
She packed up some of her things. Her father did come in mid-December. However, I was of the understanding that it was because she would be gone in Europe for 2 weeks in January. She told us that she would be coming back after the 2-week vacation for the last 2 weeks in January, and she would live with us the last 2 weeks. Her father took some boxes, but she left her bed, she left her dresser, she left several boxes in her bedroom, in addition to several things in the family room and the kitchen.
Did you leave your bed?
No.
I don't believe that.
There's a futon mattress.
Whatever it is that what you slept on?
Yes.
Okay, just a second. Don't play with me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you left your bed. Did you leave a dresser?
No, it was not my dresser. The dresser was there when I moved in.
Had you been using it?
I had used it.
Okay. Did you leave any boxes?
Not to my knowledge.
She left 3 boxes in her bedroom, in addition to a chair in the family room, a microwave in the kitchen, and miscellaneous items
Did
throughout.
she ever come back to get the chair and the microwave?
No, she never took the chair or the microwave. She had a cousin come the last week in January. She moved the bed to the curb, and she took some of the boxes with her, and she tried to move every...
Just a second. Did you know this cousin?
No, we had never met her before.
A female?
Yes.
What's your cousin's name that came to...
I didn't have a cousin come.
Who came?
My friend Jennifer came with me.
So your friend came with you and you moved out what?
I moved the mattress out and I gathered up my box, my one box that I had discovered that she had moved into.
Where
that
did you
room.
find the box?
It was in that room.
In that room. And what month did you move out the futon and the box?
It was January 16th.
Then you owe her for the month of January. Cookie. You don't leave your stuff, which you did, and expect somebody else to pay your rent. If you, in fact, moved out because of problems that you were having, then you moved out. Your father was there. He was there with the car. He takes all of your stuff and he moves out. And you take your futon and you take your box and you take your microwave and you take your chair and you move out. You don't play with me. So you owe her $735, which is rent and your share of the bills. Take care of your obligations. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's completely ridiculous. She left so many items there that we couldn't rent the room, even if we had had any notice, which we didn't.
The items they're claiming I left there were items we had agreed that I was going to be giving them moving out in the first place, so whatever.
Completely ridiculous. She never sat us down. She never told us that she was going to move out.
Calling me names behind my back when I was leaving the room after asking them at 3 o'clock in the morning to be quiet and quit having parties in the hallway and the living room.
I
think she participated very much in the partying lifestyle.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of De La Fey versus Andrade. Step forward, please.
20-year-old salesperson Vonica De La Fey is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old warehouse worker Cesar Andrade, for the cost to furnish an apartment and for breaking the lease. Cesar says she kicked him out and he's not paying.
Miss De La Fey, it is your claim that you rented an apartment in your name, but it was for the defendant, who was then your boyfriend. You were not living there, but because he didn't have credit or some other such nonsense reason, you signed the lease on the apartment. And in addition, since the apartment had to be furnished, you furnished the apartment using your credit card. But you were not living there, you were living with your mother. Is this your mother?
That's correct.
But then, one day, after about 3 months, you just happened to be there. Got into a big argument with him, a fight, and the police were called. And you had the police put him out of the apartment.
That's correct.
They told him to leave.
That's correct.
You stayed in the apartment. You stayed in the apartment.
After he officially moved out, they told him to leave, but he did come back occasionally because he had nowhere to stay.
You called the police and told them to put him out of the apartment.
To ask him to leave.
Right. And they did. Put your hand down. Ultimately, he moved out totally. You want him to pay for the rest of the rent on the apartment and all the furniture, even though you have the furniture.
But I'm only asking for half. I have the furniture, but I'm asking for half.
Right. You want him to pay for half the furniture that you have. Now, after he moved out of the apartment, you did move into the apartment.
That's correct.
And according to you, and stay there for the remainder of the lease.
I did not stay in the apartment. I had my belongings, but I lived in Burbank. I went to school in Burbank, and I got a job in Burbank. So from Palmdale to Burbank, I did not always travel. I would stay there once in a while so that way people wouldn't think it's a vacant apartment.
Let me explain something to you. The moment you called the police and had the police remove him,
Actually,
instead, does it look like you're losing? If it doesn't look like you're losing, then you're supposed to be quiet.
All right.
Because nothing that you have to tell me at this point would be quite as interesting as what I have to say to you. So if you listen, open up your ears. When you called the police and had him removed from the apartment, instead of you getting into your car and going home.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning.
I don't care if it was 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning. You get in your car and you go home. You didn't even have to have the police come. You just get in your car and go home.
He left in the morning, but he did not move out of the apartment. He left and did not move
madam,
out.
You treated it as if it was your apartment.
I furnished it for him. He was my boyfriend.
Good, then you pay for it. Then you pay for it.
But he should pay for half of it.
No way. He doesn't have half the furniture.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't. I didn't want any of this stuff. This apartment was for him and his daughter. I have pictures. He played on my sympathy.
Let me explain something to you, madam.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me explain. He might have. You have all the furniture.
He can have it. I don't want it. I have it because he left the apartment. I do not want it.
You have all the furniture. You're suing him for money.
Half. Right.
No, for money.
Right.
And I'm telling you, you have the furniture. He doesn't have anything. He was told to move out by you of an apartment that you say it was just on paper.
I didn't tell him to move out, to leave for that night. I did not tell him to move out. I did not tell him to move out. The sheriff said for him to leave in the morning but not move out. He still had his belongings there. He still lived there. Eventually, he just left.
Where's all the furniture now?
In my mom's garage.
I don't believe you. The case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was not for me. He should pay for half of it.
We both moved in together. We both lived together.
My daughter was victimized by the defendant.
I did not use it for anything.
He had a daughter. He would sleep in his car. He didn't get along with his parents. He needed a place to stay. He would stay in hotels.
I paid the bills. I paid the rent.
If he was a man enough, he'd pay me, but he's not going to pay me.
I was even paying her car payment.
I'm over $10,000 in debt. Selling the furniture is not going to help.
Client service rep Patty Lynn Moore is suing her ex-boyfriend, forklift repairman Donald Hightower, for an unpaid loan to keep him from foreclosure.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Moore versus Hightower.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Miss Moore, you and the defendant had dated, and according to your complaint, you made loans to him.
Right.
One large loan for his mortgage, and then some small loans for credit card charges. Mr. Hightower indicates that you did pay this money, but there was never a loan agreement and never an agreement to repay you. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir.
When did you start to date the defendant?
Several months after my son was murdered.
When was that?
March of 2000. Probably about 3 or 4 months after that.
What was the first loan for and when?
In July of 2000, Donald showed me a letter that, the mortgage company had wrote, which showed that they were going to foreclose on his house.
I'd like to see the letter. Now, where were you when he showed you that letter?
At his house.
Were you living with him at the time?
No.
I want you to tell me the exact scenario that came about when he showed you this letter.
Can I kind of tell you what led up to this, my frame of mind? Yeah.
No. I don't want to know about your frame of mind. What I want to know about is the conversation, where you were. It's clear if you were dating him, then you liked him.
Right.
Also, based upon what you told me, what happened to your son in March, you were vulnerable. You were feeling slightly depressed. I understand that. However, this is still a situation where we have to deal with whether this was a loan or not a loan.
Okay.
So I want you to tell me where you were seated in the house, what the conversation was that led up to him showing you this letter.
Okay. I was sitting in the lazy boy chair, and he had all his bills right there, and he showed me the letter.
I mean, he just took this letter and said,
well,
take a look at this?
Everything was sitting right there, and he showed me this letter, because we were talking about how he couldn't, afford to, take me out to dinner, and, he felt bad about it.
It was in that context that he showed you this letter, I can't afford to go out to dinner or whatever because I have all these bills.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I had a lot of money at the time because of the life insurance policy from my son's death. And I felt really bad, because, he has these 2 wonderful children. One, she has Down syndrome, and she is a sweetheart. She's just so full of life. And I just couldn't see these children, August 4th, they were going to foreclose on the house, and where were they going to go? I felt terrible. And I'm trying to be a fixer-upper. I was trying to help them fix the situation. I know that I get a lot of money back from my taxes just claiming one child. So I knew when he gets his taxes back, he'll get $3,000 or $4,000, probably more than I do. And in order for me to negotiate with this Equicorp, place, I called, them up and I said, well, what can we do to get this, straightened out? And they said, well, this amount of money needs to be mailed. So in order to, get him above water, I went and paid $4,500 towards it.
You have proof of that?
Yes, I do. This is a copy of the money order and the original.
Okay. Now after that, what did he say to you?
I'm trying to remember. This was a couple of years ago.
Well, you have to remember.
Your Honor, may I answer that?
No, not yet.
Well, he told me that he had other bills, and that wasn't really going to get him out of, hot water, because he was behind on all these credit cards. He had the banks, calling him constantly. He didn't like to answer the phone because of that. He said, well, I can't pay you back right away. And I said, I know. I said, I don't need the money right now. I have the money right now. I said, but, when you get your taxes back, just go ahead, and give me some money. And you don't have to give me the whole thing. I said, the next year, which was this year right here, give me the rest of the money, and that'll be that. And I said, you don't even have to pay me back the whole thing. It was over $7,000 is what it was. And I said, well, you know, if you'll just make sure you pay me, I'll accept the $4,000.
So you agreed that he would pay you back $4,000?
Not at that time. This was later.
So at that time you didn't talk about him repaying you the money?
Oh, we did. We did, you know, with his taxes, but we didn't negotiate a figure.
Okay, well, when did you negotiate a figure?
February, I had wrote a letter to him, February 5th, which is right about tax time.
Could I see the letter, please?
And I was like, something was better than nothing.
Would you show this letter to the defendant, please? You recall receiving that letter, Mr. Hightower?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Good, thank you. When you received that letter, Mr. Hightower, what did you do?
I read it.
And after you read it, what did you do with it?
Tore it up and throw it in the trash.
Why?
Because when she did this, I told her not to do it because at the time, I was going through the separation and divorce, also going through a custody hearing. I told her that I don't know when I'd ever be able to pay her back.
Are you still living in the house that she...
No, ma'am.
Who got the house?
It's been put on a lot for sale now. I moved out the end of February of this year.
Why?
They foreclosed on it in December.
How many months did you live there after summer of 2000?
I moved out of it February of 2002 of this year.
Oh, so her money helped you stay in that home?
I guess, but also too my
What do
lawyer.
you mean you guess?
My lawyer also helped. My attorney knew what was going on.
You had a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am. When I was going
Lawyer
through
for the custody case?
custody,
And the
separation, and
divorce?
divorce, yes.
Did you pay your lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you pay your lawyer?
$1,500.
Do you still owe your lawyer?
No, ma'am.
So you took this letter and you threw it in the garbage?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a lot of nerve. You mean you didn't even answer her?
Ma'am, also, too, you got to realize a lot of things going on with her. One time she broke in my house just to show her brother my home through the kitchen and come back bragging about it.
So what?
The next time she went through my mail, took a credit card out of my mailbox.
Stop complaining. I'm asking you a question, sir. You get this letter, you don't respond to it, you take it and you throw it in the garbage. And then what you do is you justify those actions by little petty irritations. I'm asking you, if you couldn't give her back any money, and she clearly expected money over a year ago, why didn't you call her or write her a letter and say, I'm really suffering financially right now?
She knew I was.
How did she know?
She knew how I was.
What do you mean she knew? Were you in communication with her?
She knew that I was trying to raise 2 kids by myself.
Did you get custody of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I suggest that you try to teach your children, Mr. Hightower, what being a person of good character is. You know, just because you're a warm body doesn't mean you're a father. Anything can be a father. Dogs are fathers, cats are fathers, fish are fathers. In order to be a father, a human being father, you're supposed to try to teach your children to have a good moral character. Somebody was nice to you. And what you do is you take the letter, you throw it in the garbage without even a response? Huh?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you think there's a difference between going through a separation and a divorce and having one of your children suddenly taken from you?
Both of them are very emotional.
One you can cure, one you can't.
And later today,
I was not that close to her. She sped up to go around me.
She's trying to get away from you. If she sped up, she would have hit you straight on. Duh.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patty Lynn Moore says ex-boyfriend Donald Hightower owes for a loan to keep his home out of foreclosure. Donald says he told Patty Lynn he could never pay her back.
After you loaned him this money, Ms. Moore, how long after that did you stop seeing him socially?
Almost immediately.
And who terminated the relationship?
He did.
Tell me about it.
He didn't see that there was any, he didn't think that we would be able to have a relationship at the time. I was drinking some at the time. No excuse, but...
That's honest.
Alcohol is no place in any relationship, nor is it in anybody's life. It's like a disease. It just ruins.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, as far as the drinking, like I said, just bringing up this emotional stuff, I don't think, you don't ever get over the grieving, I mean, you deal with it, through grievance counseling, but you don't never get over the loss of a child. And I just...
How old was your son?
22. I got the newspaper article.
Mr. Hightower.
Yes, ma'am.
How many children did Miss Moore have?
She had her daughter and her son that she told me about.
And she told you about the son as soon as you met her?
Yes, ma'am.
So you knew that shortly before this business with your home, she had suffered a loss and she had some money.
I didn't know she had any money. I never asked her.
Fine. So let's say you didn't know she had any money, but you knew she had suffered a loss.
Yes, ma'am, and I was sorry that happened.
And you were going through a great deal of turmoil in your life.
Yes, ma'am.
But none of your children died.
No, ma'am.
You think there's a difference between going through a separation and a divorce and having one of your children suddenly taken from you? You think there's a difference? You think there's a difference?
Both of them are very emotional.
Yeah. One you can cure, one you can't. And what I find most obnoxious about your behavior, sir, is that you didn't even bother to respond to this letter. You read it, you tore it up, and you threw it in the garbage because you were going through a great deal of stuff on your own. That's what you told me. Good character is what you're supposed to teach your children. If you don't have it, and they don't give classes for it, can't read a book on it, at least once in a while somebody is going to tell you when you have lousy character. You understand each other? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,400. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She wants everybody to play her on her sympathy.
There's nothing in this world worse than losing a child.
She's just trying to rule people's lives with her own.
I have the right to grieve.
She was just trying to steal my identity.
I don't think he has any identity.
I best just get rid of him, get on with my life.
When a loser is a loser, you're a loser. Why would I want to take the identity of a loser?
Radio dispatcher Susan Privet is suing the mother of her son's girlfriend, homemaker Allison Alley, for the cost to support her 16-year-old daughter.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 77 on the calendar in the matter of Privet versus Ali. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Ali, is this your daughter?
Yes, it is.
Is that your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Getting the picture. Going to be a familiar picture. Miss Privet, according to your complaint, the defendant's daughter, this young lady, moved into your house with your permission.
Yes, ma'am.
And I gather that she had gotten into a teenage snit with her mother and left the house, came to your house. When was that?
Right after my birthday in September of 2001.
Does she still live there?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, am I correct in assuming that the way you know her is through your son?
Yes, ma'am. They're boyfriend and girlfriend.
How lovely. And how old is your son?
He's 20.
You want the defendant to pay support
Yes, ma'am, I
for
do.
her 16-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And she's been there since September, so coming on to a year. What do you have to say about that?
I have to say about that first of all, my daughter has a home with me. Second of all, I do take care of my daughter financially. I take her to all her doctor appointments. I pay for anything the insurance doesn't. I pay for her birth control. I'm not sleeping with her. I pick her up if she gets sick from school.
Miss Ali.
I'm not going to give her money for my minor daughter to stay away from home.
You're not following my
I
problem?
didn't understand you then. What do
Because
you
you didn't let
know?
me finish.
I'm sorry.
Do you have other children at home?
No, I don't.
Who else lives in your home?
Just me and my boyfriend.
Does your daughter get along with the boyfriend?
She never gave him a chance to get along with him.
So the answer is no, she doesn't get along with him.
Mm-hmm.
Does he work?
Oh, she's a nurse.
Has she always lived with you?
Yes, she has.
Ever been out of your care for 16 years?
Yes, she has for
When?
a short period of time.
When?
For 3 months in the year of 2000. I was in a drug program for 90 days.
So there was a time when you were not doing much parenting for her.
Exactly.
About how many years was it that you weren't doing parenting for her?
It wasn't years. It was
Well, if
3
you went
months.
No. You didn't go into a drug program because you didn't have a problem. You had a problem, which is why you went into the drug program. So how long was your problem? A year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2.5 years.
So for a period of at least, if you say 2.5 years, it was probably more, you weren't doing much parenting for her.
No, it was 2.5 years.
Okay. Now, what about your daughter's father? Does he pay child support?
Yes, he does.
How much does he pay in child support?
It's $115 a week, but half of that is arrears, what he's owed me from $24,000 past child support.
Have you gone into court to seek the court's assistance in having your daughter returned to your house?
No.
Have you gone to the police to have your daughter returned to the house?
Yes, I did.
And what time did you go to the police?
When she first left home.
Did the police go to Miss Privet's house?
No, they did not.
So after the police told you whatever they told you, you dropped it and did not go into the local family court, which would have jurisdiction over your daughter, to have her returned to your house?
That's correct.
Okay. Are you employed?
No, I'm not.
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Danielle Felix.
What happened when you left home?
What happened? What do you mean?
Why won't you tell me why you left home?
Well, my mom had a drug problem, and I didn't really like her boyfriend. He was too demanding and trying to be more of a father-like to me, but I've only known him for 3 years, 3 months, sorry, before then. And my mom was too busy with her other stuff. Like
What other stuff?
Drugs.
Was she still using drugs when you left home?
That's a lie.
Shh. What kind of drugs was she using?
Pain pills. She's been on pain pills for a while now.
What kind of pain pills, do you know?
Oxycontin, like Percocets, Vicodins.
Is that the nature of her drug problem before she went into rehab?
Yes.
Same pain pills?
Yes.
How long has your mother been doing pain pills?
Since I was about 13.
Prior to that, did you have any problem with your mother?
No.
At Miss Privet's house, do you share a room with your boyfriend?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Miss Privet, that's inappropriate.
Yes, ma'am, I know that.
That's inappropriate.
I know.
Why do you permit it?
At first, when she first moved in with us, she was sleeping on the couch, okay, and it was right next to my son's room. And when I went to sleep at night, I didn't know that they were together until one morning I woke up and I found them together. And, you know, I told them I had a problem with it, and they pretty much told me, well, Miss Allison Alley was buying their condoms and birth control pills, so I figured that it was, you know, okay, she was, I know it's wrong and it shouldn't happen, but I don't want to lie to you and tell you that they weren't
No, I
sleeping
know.
together.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a sense that her mother is still abusing painkillers. Quiet!
Didn't say anything.
Good.
And later today.
That is a lie.
Did I look at you?
No, ma'am, she's lying.
But you're going to have a turn, Mr. Walton, and your turn will come when I say it's your turn.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Privet says the mother of her son's girlfriend, Allison Alley, owes for child support. Susan claims Allison's 16-year-old daughter is now living with her.
Now, Miss Privet, I don't know what you want to do formally to make whatever custody arrangements you want to make, but I believe that if you want that child support regularly paid to you as legal custodian of Danielle, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to court to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Where is your father, Danielle?
My father's at home right now in Pompano.
Your father knows about your living condition?
Yes.
Do you visit with your father?
Once in a while.
Why?
He has his own girlfriend and too busy for me.
Are you going to school?
Yes.
Every day?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Just about, yeah.
Ma'am, she
No,
has
not just about. Just about is not every day. Yes.
Ma'am, okay. When Danielle first came to live with me, she was not going to school on a regular basis. Miss Alley was moving her around from place to place. When she first moved in with me, she was going to Silver Lakes. Then she came to live with me, and we registered her at my son's school, which was Lions Creek Middle School. But she's 15 years old, and she was in the 8th grade, so we went down and we signed her up at what we call North Area School of Choice, where they work at their own pace.
I signed her up.
Excuse me. Okay.
Just a
yes,
minute.
ma'am. She did take her down because she's a legal guardian, so she had to take her down.
She actually took her down and registered her at school.
Both schools.
Everything for her.
Is that right? Did you register your daughter at both those schools?
Yes, ma'am. I do everything for her schooling,
Miss Ali,
getting her to school.
please. Please.
I have her
When she
attendance
registered
record
her
here.
at school, whose address did she give?
She gave mine, ma'am, and I have a
Could
letter.
I see it, please?
It's just an envelope. I don't have the report card in there.
And this is your address?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Miss Privet, I want you to pay attention to me.
Okay.
Her father should not be paying child support to Miss Ali.
Correct.
The child support check should be coming to you if the court is going to give permission for her to stay with you. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, they may not, because they may not like the living arrangement.
Correct.
The truth of the matter is, what are you going to do with a 16-year-old? A 16-year-old doesn't want to stay someplace else. She can't stay with her mother. Mother's got her own bag of tricks. She can't stay with her father. Clearly, with the permission of both her parents, because they both know where she is, and her mother enrolled her in school giving your address.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, your lawsuit seeks $1,600 for money owed for child care. The truth of the matter is, you'd be entitled, in my judgment, to $4,600 because she's been with you for approximately 40 weeks.
Yes, ma'am.
At $115 a week, that's $4,600. Quiet!
Didn't say anything.
Good. Now, you're not suing for $4,600, you're suing for $1,600. That you're going to get. But what you have to do is, if you want a formalized order so that you don't have to keep coming back to court for this, I would strongly suggest that you go into family court. Yes?
Okay, well, I had spoken with her father, and he said that he wanted the child support switched over to me, but he doesn't have the money for an attorney to go to court, and he said, so...
He doesn't have to. You can go to court on your own, seeking guardianship of the child.
Okay.
I have a sense that her mother is not going to contest it, because if her mother contests it, what will happen is they will determine that her mother, based upon her daughter's testimony, is still abusing painkillers. She had a history of substance abuse. They will send her mother for regular drug testing and drug screening. Her mother will not want to go for regular drug screening. And in all probability, they will permit her to stay with you. That's if you make different arrangements as far as where these two children sleep. He's 20, she's 16. That cannot continue. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600.
Thank you, ma'am.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a wonderful child. She's part of my family.
All she does is allow a roof where they can have sex.
If you love your children, you should do everything in your power to try and keep them.
Don't lay back and hope your daughter's going to come home. Take legal action right away.
If Danielle would like me to, yes, I will.
Yes.
Then yes, we're going to go ahead with legal custody of Danielle.
Giovanni Costello is suing his former friend, Jacob Knapp, for dental and medical bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2110, Costello versus Knapp.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Costello, you and Mr. Knapp were out drinking in the park.
Yes.
Date and time.
The date and time was around 3 a.m. and it was on 9/11 of 2021.
And you've known Mr. Knapp for how long?
Roughly 9 years. We started off playing high school baseball.
And when had you first met up on September 11th?
I can't remember the exact time. I would say around maybe 7 p.m.
Where?
At a bar over in Old Town Pasadena. We weren't meeting up.
Just a second.
Yeah.
So you were in a bar in Pasadena, 7 p.m. Just the two of you, or were there more people?
No.
How many were there in the whole group?
I had around 5 or 6 people in my group, and we went
All
to a
friends?
Bar. Yeah.
And you?
He wasn't a part of that group.
But you were at the bar?
No, ma'am. I was at work when he contacted me.
Okay, so so you were at the bar starting at 7 with your friends. He wasn't there?
Yeah.
Okay, what time did he join you?
It wasn't, I couldn't tell you the exact time.
Approximately?
About an hour later.
At the bar?
Yeah, but it wasn't a text or anything like that. He just happened to go to the same bar.
No, ma'am. What ended up happening from the start, I was at work. He contacted me via text. I don't
Do you have that text?
No, ma'am. I tried to erase the whole memory from my mind, so I deleted all the pictures and all the text messages.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate.
Yes.
That's unfortunate. I've never done that, by the way. You know, wanted to erase something from my mind, so I didn't just say I'm not going to think about it anymore. I've never done that. Did you ever do that, Sarah?
I have not.
You have not? And she's pretty efficient with text messages. Did you ever do that?
Never have I done that.
No. Well, you must be unusual, sir. Okay, so you met at the bar. What time did you get there?
Well, my shift ended at around 9 o'clock.
What time did you get to the bar?
10 o'clock.
And when you got to the bar, you met Mr. Costello.
Yes, ma'am.
He had a few friends with him. How long did you stay at the bar?
We were there till 12.
Okay, so Mr. Costello, you had been drinking from 7 until about 12.
Correct.
The answer is yes. Yes, of course. And what's your drink of choice, sir?
Beer.
What else?
The first bar that we were at doesn't serve hard alcohol, so it was just beer there.
Okay, so from 7 to when were you at the first bar?
Yeah.
From 7 to when?
7 to when? Till 12.
12.
Yeah.
So it's 7 to 12.
At the same time as well.
Okay, so from 7 to 12 you were drinking beer.
Yeah.
And then where did you go at 12 o'clock?
After 12 o'clock, we ended up going to another bar in Arcadia.
Okay, and you stayed there from when to when?
From 12 to closing, which is 2 a.m.
And you were part of that group?
Yes, that's when I initially met the group.
At the second bar or
At the
first?
second bar, yes.
Not at the first bar?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you got to the second bar, you were there you said you were there at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So they weren't there when you arrived?
They were there when I arrived, yes.
Well, he said that, I thought he said he got to the second bar at 12 o'clock.
I arrived at the bar at around 10 o'clock, ma'am.
And you got there at 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the time you all got together and left the bar, you had all been drinking, you for a very long time and you for a shorter time.
Yes, ma'am.
So from 10 to 2, so 4 hours. And what's your drink of choice?
10 to 12, Your Honor. I apologize. 10 to 12.
Where did you go at 12 o'clock?
12 o'clock is when we had all decided to go to a park, kind of a low-key area.
No, he said that he went to a bar between 7 and 12. Am I correct, Whitney? Did he say? 7 and 12. He said you were at the bar, first bar, between 7 and 12, drinking beer. That's what you said.
Correct.
You said the first bar only served beer. Is not an answer. Yes is an answer. You say at 12 o'clock, you went to a second bar where you had alcohol between 12 and 2.
Yes. Correct.
Yes?
Correct.
You got to a bar at 10 o'clock.
Yes.
Which one? The beer bar or the alcohol bar?
I finished my shift, like I said, at 9, and I showed up at the bar at 10 to meet up with them, to try to rekindle an old friendship.
Okay. Yeah. I actually don't care about that. All right, so partially you got your story straight, partially not. Anyway, you were two drunks. Now it's after 2 o'clock, and you decide to go to a park. How many people went to a park, and what park?
It was the same amount of people that I was with from the start.
And you were along at the park?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it was.
Okay, did you take any beers to the park, or you went without them? You took beers to the park. The answer is yes.
Yeah, the main reasoning of going to the park was after the bar had closed, Jacob mentioned to the group that he had beers with him. So that incited us to go to the park and have some beers.
To continue drinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, prior to me showing up, I did stop by 7-Eleven and pick
Okay, so you had beers with you and you were at the bar?
Yes.
Nice, very good. Now you get to the park, you're drinking beers. Now you're going to describe what you say is the assault that you suffered at the hands of Mr. Knapp. Now, I want you to know my feeling before you told me the story.
Okay.
I usually don't get myself overly exercised about what drunks do in a park. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
I know that you may be all exercised about it, although I'm not exactly sure you're all exercised about it. So if you really are, I'm going to listen to you. If you're not, we just eliminate this case. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If he just simply tossed me a beer, I don't understand how a beer can could chip my tooth the way that it
Just
did.
a second. I can eat a biscotti and it can chip my tooth. Biscotti, that's a cookie. And that, I mean, I could chip my tooth on my grandmother's steak. It was so hard.
Giovanni Costello claims his former friend, Jacob Knapp, owes for dental bills after being hit in the mouth with a beer can.
Okay, go. You're in the park, drunk. He's in the park, drunk.
Yes.
And?
To state I was not drunk because I was driving my witness here.
I want to tell you something. If you were drinking from 7 to 2, you were drunk.
I hadn't been drinking the whole time that I was there.
Let's go.
So going into it, I was sitting at a park bench with Maureen here. And then I had another 2 friends that were on the other side. And we're hanging out. They had the 2 across from me got up. They went further into the park, and I was sitting with just her alone. And I was just about to show her a video off my phone. Next thing I know, I get hit in the face by a beer. After that occurs, I reach to my mouth to see something's wrong there, and I feel that like a part of my tooth is missing.
Okay, and that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the assault that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you allege that Mr. Knapp was the one who threw the beer bottle.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a full beer can.
A can?
Yeah, not bottle.
Did you report this incident to the police?
I did not take it to the police
Just
because...
a second, I'm just asking you.
Oh, sorry.
The answer is no.
No.
I disagree.
Disagree that he went to the police?
With his story.
Okay, I'll get there. Okay, so now you get hit in the face with a beer can, step by step. You look down, you look at your tooth.
Realize it's chipped. I say out loud, my tooth is chipped. She doesn't...
Don't tell me not
first.
about she. Just you.
Just me. I noticed it was chipped. And then after I announced that it was chipped, several of my friends, I guess, went towards him. And
Well, you didn't tell me anything about him. You didn't tell me. You just said you got hit in the face with a beer can.
Yeah.
That's all you said to
And
me.
he was the only other person that was standing right there, besides her sitting next to me.
So you didn't see him throw the beer can at you?
There was no one else there.
I'm just...
Yeah, oh, sorry. I didn't see him throw it at me, but there was never a case of...
No, you didn't.
Of anything
That's
else.
all.
Yeah.
You didn't see him throw it at you?
No.
Okay, go.
From the park, Your Honor?
Take it from the park.
So
now I got 2 drunks in the park, maybe 3.
there was actually more than just 3 of us surrounding the table.
Just a second.
Me and him.
Go slowly.
Okay, sorry.
Slower.
Let me take
I
it
don't
down a
know
notch.
table. I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, as he was saying, we were sitting at a park bench. I had brought the beer. The beer was next to me. He had asked me to toss him a beer. And that's plainly what I did, was I underhanded him lightly a beer to him. And in his defense, he's saying he wasn't drunk, but it definitely was apparent that he was. When you
Anybody who's been
toss a
drinking
beer,
from 7 to 2 in the morning is drunk.
Yes, ma'am. So I lightly tossed him a beer, and unfortunately it was dark enough to where he had missed, and the beer had hit him in the face. In which after, immediately I started to apologize to him, stating that I didn't mean to, but it was apparent he was looking at me and did not catch the beer. So personally, I think everything he said to you right now was...
That's your story. You tossed him a beer because he asked you. He said, toss me a beer.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was dark.
Yes.
And you were drunk. And he was drunk.
I wasn't drunk, Your Honor. I had 4 beers within the time of 10 o'clock till when this incident happened.
You know, I'm not real comfortable with that, sir.
Okay.
Because according to you, you had been drinking for 4 hours. And not only were you drinking for 4 hours, but you brought extra alcohol to have in the park. By the way,
Which was a closed container.
Where do you live? In what
In Pasadena, Your Honor.
In California. Are you allowed to drink alcohol in parks in California?
I'm not certain.
Well, let's find out. Open beer cans in city parks in California.
That's a no.
So after...
We're not talking yet.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Drinking alcoholic beverages is a prohibited activity in parks and park areas, according to the Pasadena City Park rules.
Thank you. This park that you went to, what's the name of it?
I'm not sure. It was up the street from the last bar we were at.
Okay. Now, did you, Mr. Costello, and the defendant, immediately after this event, did you communicate with him via text or email?
I texted him, I think it was roughly a couple of days later.
Okay. I'd like to see the text.
I have that.
That's all I want to see.
Don't
Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Just show me the texts that you sent him a couple of days later.
There it is.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I'd like to see these texts from your phone, and I'd like to see all your text messages starting September 14th.
It's right here.
Of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
No, sir, you have to understand. What you said to me here, what you gave me, is 2 texts a year apart. I want to see the texts to him.
There was nothing.
After September 14th, you mean he didn't respond at all to this? I don't believe that.
My next thing that I did was I sent a letter through the mail, and I have that here, and I have proof of it where I had it where he had to sign for it, and I have the receipt for it as well.
What date?
That one, I can pull it up right here.
I'm sorry, what letter? I never received a letter.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is that I'm supposed to believe that after you sent this email on September 14th, which is 3 days after the event, he never responded to you, and you never sent a follow-up email or text.
That was the letter. And in the letter I gave him...
Shh, just a second.
Okay.
Oh, here. Take this back. It's nonsense. I don't want to see something prepared for litigation, sir. You said you had a document that you sent to him that he had to sign for. If you sent him a letter, return receipt requested, then you have a return receipt requested with a signature on it. That's a document that you prepared 2 days ago.
I have the receipt in here.
Let's get it.
Okay.
I never signed such document.
Just don't shout out again.
Yes, ma'am.
It's annoying, and I'm annoyed enough with this case.
I'm sorry for being so unorganized.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you're so unorganized too, or disorganized.
Oh, here it is.
Great.
Certified mail. They're stuck to the back one.
This was sent April of 2022. I want to see what the response was. There had to be a response.
I never got a
since
response
September
from
14th, 2021. There had to be a response.
I never got a response from him.
Kevin, show this to Mr. Knapp and tell me if he recalls this text message.
Your Honor, no, I do not remember getting this text.
Why would you respond a year later? I know from the past, dealing with Mr. Knapp here, he tends to always, being friends, whenever get into an altercation or argument, he unfollows me, blocks me on everything.
Okay.
So there's a possibility by that text message not going through.
I don't deal in possibilities, sir.
I sent the text message, and I have proof of there. It was delivered, and I never got a response from him.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Sir, this incident happened September 11th. You have to understand, I think that if that's what happened. I tend to believe that the defendant did not just willy-nilly take a can and fling it at your face. I want you to know that I don't believe that. You were stupid enough to throw the beer can in his direction. You're two drunks, that's what happens. So don't get so drunk and go to a park. How often?
Giovanni Castillo has accused his former friend, Jacob Knapp, of hitting him with a beer can. Jacob says Giovanni asked him to throw it.
Okay, it is more likely than not that you were sitting with this lady who, according to you, you were supposed to drive home. That's what you said 5 minutes ago. So you were supposed to drive home, which means she was trashed, because that's what you said. You said, I wasn't...
This was the arrangements from the very beginning of the night.
Okay. Do you understand? So we had a whole bunch of trashed people. And I am more likely to believe the defendant when he says you said to him, toss me a beer, and it accidentally hit you in the face.
My questioning is that the...
I don't answer questions.
Okay, well, where the beer was placed on the table, I don't understand why I would have to ask him to toss me a beer when I can simply reach over and grab one myself.
I don't know either. But
no
it
sense.
sounds more likely to me than not that it was his beer, he brought it there, and you said to him, toss me a beer. And you failed to catch it. Now, that doesn't mean that the defendant isn't at least partially responsible for the stupidity of that night. But you have some responsibility, too, because I really don't believe that he left the bar. He was angry and frustrated over something that you had no idea what he was angry and frustrated over, because you were all sitting together, and he just, out of the blue, took a beer and threw it at your face. I don't believe that. Do you understand?
If I could show you a picture here, you could see that if he just simply tossed me a beer, I don't understand how a beer can could chip my tooth the way that it did.
Just a second. It can. It can.
Okay.
I can eat a biscotti and it can chip my tooth. Biscotti, that's a cookie, a very hard cookie. And have. And have. I mean, I could chip my tooth on my grandmother's steak, it was so hard. But certainly from a beer can. So I don't believe that you're blameless. What was your dental bill, sir?
I have the statements here.
While he's looking for that, you understand that if you were sitting there and instead of a bunch of beer cans and the plaintiff said to you, you know, that gun that's in your pocket, toss it over to me, I want to take a look at it. And you did. You took a gun out of your pocket and you tossed it over to him, and as you were tossing it over, it accidentally fired. Would it be his fault if he got shot?
No.
No. Whose fault would it be?
Mine.
Right. Because you weren't supposed to do that.
Right.
Because it was potentially dangerous.
Of course.
Well, same thing with a knife or an explosive device.
Right.
Or something very hot, like toss me a cup of coffee in a container and it splatters. So you don't do what anybody asks you to do if it's not a smart thing to do.
Right.
Unless you're drunk. Unless you're drunk.
Your Honor,
then,
if I may.
Yeah.
Coming from a baseball background, such as me and Gio did.
I don't care about your baseball background. There's no question, sir, that you acknowledge you threw it at him. And I'm telling you that if your excuse is that he asked me to do it, so I followed the fool's directions. I'm telling you, he's going to pay part of his dental bill, because I think it was partially his responsibility. But if you acknowledge that you were stupid enough to throw the beer can in his direction, you have to be partially liable. You're two drunks, that's what happens. So don't get so drunk and go to a park. How old are you?
27.
27 is, and you?
28, Your Honor.
28. You know, old enough not to be so stupid. You know, you can figure 17, 18-year-olds are so stupid. At age 28, you should be doing something constructive. I assume you work?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a chef.
And you?
I'm a lumberman, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're both gainfully employed, letting off a little steam. That's fine. But if there's a problem that develops because anybody is not operating on all cylinders because of alcohol, you have to take responsibility. What was the dental bill?
My dental bill came out to $2,342.
Can I see that, please, Kevin?
I have this here. I'll give you both.
Was any of this dental bill covered by insurance?
On the dental, no.
Okay. Anything else?
My wholeheartedly truth is I didn't ask him for a beer. I had no problems. I was avoiding him the whole night for the most part because from the past, Jacob has had a way worse drinking problem than I've ever gotten to. I went out that night solely to have a couple drinks, hang out with friends. The night went longer than expected.
Very nice. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,171, which is half of your dental bill. You pay half. Don't get drunk. You're too old to get drunk. I don't believe that he maliciously threw this at you. I think that you asked for a beer, tossed it at you, and you missed. That was his stupidity and yours. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
All I did was I underhand lightly tossed it over to him, and that's really what happened.
I did nothing wrong to deserve to get a beer thrown in my face like a baseball.
Unfortunately, he chipped his tooth, and so it was unfortunate.
I said, hey, Jacob, look, you chipped my tooth. Look what you just did.
No more drinking in the parks, guys.
Not to do it again.
I think this situation is the exact reason cities like Pasadena have rules about drinking alcohol in parks, because like you always say, it's not an on purpose, it's an accident. But a lot of times there are certain things that can increase the probability of an accident happening. True. And I think drinking at 2 a.m. in a park probably is one of those things.
That's true. So
Case 2078, Ali versus Miller. All parties, please step forward.
Syed Ali is suing dog owner Abra Miller for car damage from a dog attack.
Mr. Ali, you bought yourself a Tesla.
Yes, ma'am.
A new one?
Yes.
When did you buy it?
I bought it on 6th of June.
Of this year?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it, sir?
$68.
And there was a loan on the car?
There's a loan on the car, yes.
So you have full insurance on the car?
Yes.
What's your deductible?
Deductible is $1,000.
$1,000?
Yes.
This is what your case is about. You were going to check on a child's house of yours.
Yes, ma'am. It's my son's house. I go there every day. We bought that house for on my son's and my name. It's for my...
Oh, so it's a house that's jointly owned by you and your son?
Yes, ma'am.
But you don't live there regularly?
I don't live there.
And where does Mr. Miller live?
He lives on a different street, but his backyard and my backyard, they meet each other in the back.
How long have you owned that house?
Since 2014.
Long time.
Long time.
Have you met Mr. Miller?
I met him a few times, yes.
Mr. Miller, you recall meeting Mr. Ali?
Yes, ma'am, once.
Okay, but you've met him?
Yes, ma'am.
Before June 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
And your son lives in the house. Anybody else live in the house? You live in the house. Is this a tenant in the house?
She's a tenant.
Yes. Does your son have dogs?
No.
And does the tenant have a dog?
She does.
What kind of dog?
A Yorkie.
You have a Yorkie?
Yes.
It's a small dog.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have one Yorkie in the house. And you have 2 dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind?
A pit bull breed.
Pit bull?
Yes, ma'am.
And the other?
No, both are the same.
Both are the same?
One's actually the mom and the son.
And how old are they?
The mom's 10, the son's about 8.
And you've had them for years?
Since they were born.
So June 16th, you go to check on the house.
Yes.
Tell me what you saw when you pulled up to the house.
When I went there to the house to check my mail, I saw 2 dogs.
Where did you see the 2 dogs?
I saw them in the porch.
On your porch?
Yes.
Okay. Had you ever seen those dogs before?
No, I never saw them before.
Could you describe them for me?
They're a big size. They are black and white, and they're...
One was black and white or both black and white?
No, the one is black and white, and I have some pictures of them.
Oh, you took photos?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Judge.
You took photos of them on the porch or initially when you saw them?
After I saw them, I was walking out, then I took the picture.
Okay, may I see the photograph? Take out the photographs of your dogs. Would you give me both photographs, please? I see. One is black.
One is white.
And one is fawn color and white. Are these pictures of your dogs?
Those are pictures of my dogs.
At his house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now your dogs are out. You're not at his house, just your dogs.
Just the dogs.
Okay, so now I got it. So you took pictures of the dogs the day of this incident at your house?
Yes.
And these are your dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Ed Ali claims dog owner Abram Miller owes for car damage after his dogs attacked Syed's Tesla.
Okay, tell me what happened with your car.
Then I realized that I think maybe I need to get away from them because they were very ferocious and growling. And I quietly walked away from them, go to my car, lock myself in, and I said, I need to get out. So I saw them, they were jumping all around my car and biting everything.
They were biting what?
Biting the right side of the tire, this side, and the rim and all that.
What your claim is that the dogs caused a substantial amount of damage to your car.
Right.
May I see the photographs of the damage?
Yes, ma'am.
So the car had scratches on it, I see. And what about the wheel rim? Is that, you're also showing me the scratches on the wheel rim?
Yes, they were biting all the rims and the tire, and they went into the front and bit on the bumper.
May I see that? Okay, have you seen the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
He sent you pictures of damage.
He sent me some pictures, yes.
Of the damage. Okay, so now, Mr. Miller, what Mr. Ali is saying is that your dogs, who he has pictures of, that you acknowledge are your dogs,
Yes, ma'am.
caused damage to his car that he had for a week, that he paid almost $70,000 for. The dogs were clearly outside of your control. They were out of your control because you acknowledge that the photographs of them are without collars, without leashes, nobody around them, and the photographs are taken at his house. I'd like to hear a defense.
Your Honor, there was no way for my dogs to have done the damage. My dogs are older. One of them has no teeth. We have to put water and stuff on her food just so she can eat. The other dog's teeth are filed down. Both of them are up in age. My dogs have never harmed anyone. I have 10 cars of my own in my yard, and I've never had my dogs biting any tires, any damage.
Mr. Miller.
Yes, ma'am.
That's why they call dogs dogs. They're animals.
Yes, ma'am.
Because on one dog, it looks as if the incisors are filed down a little bit. Still has teeth, but the incisors are filed down. Is what you're telling me that that was a natural process, or you had them filed down?
No, ma'am. Absolutely natural.
Absolutely not what?
Absolutely natural.
Absolutely natural. Okay, so the dogs still have teeth. They are smoother rather than sharp, but they still have teeth. Okay, but that's why they're dogs. You weren't there to witness this, so I have to assume that what the plaintiff tells me is true because his evidence is consistent with that. He has photographs of your dogs outside of your control, no collar, no leash, at his house. And he said that he took those pictures on the date of the incident, and he has damage to his car. Now, somebody has that problem. They don't want to blame the wrong person. And the dogs he's identified as causing the damage are your dogs. I'm still waiting for a defense. You mean the fact that they've never done it before you think is a defense?
No, ma'am, not.
What were they doing outside of your control?
They actually got out of my yard from a previous tenant of his dogs that dug a hole up under my gate.
Just a second. So a previous tenant of his had a dog.
I had several dogs.
Several dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't live there anymore, dug a hole under the fence. When did that happen?
That was earlier that year.
Okay, and when did you first discover it?
I didn't realize it until after this incident.
Are you trying to tell me that it happened earlier in the year and your dogs just found the hole? They had never been out before? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. You're responsible for his deductible. Did you have the car fixed?
No, not yet, ma'am.
Why not?
I have an estimate, and I approached him of that, and I said, let's see if we can do something about this.
Mr. Ali.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
have
ma'am.
insurance.
Yes.
And you have insurance for this type of problem.
Yes, Judge.
And you have $1,000 deductible.
Yes, Judge.
Did you advise your insurance company?
I wasn't, because I was trying to see what my good friend neighbor wants to do.
Do you own your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the homeowners insurance exclude your pit bulls?
Do they exclude them? I'm not sure.
Well, in what state do you live?
Florida.
In Florida. Would you look up and see what's the name of your insurance carrier?
I'm not sure, Your Honor. I just switched insurance companies.
Did you have insurance, homeowners insurance, in June?
Yes, ma'am.
You did?
Absolutely.
Well, did you inform your insurance company that there was a problem?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I was trying to get an understanding of what was going on.
I'm just telling you what's going on. So now you know what's going on. Your dogs caused damage to his car. Most states now exclude certain dogs from their policy. One that's right on top of the list are pit bulls. You are aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
And either you pay a higher premium or the insurance company says we're not insuring them. You do understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now you understand. Does your policy exclude your pit bulls?
I don't think so. No, ma'am.
Well, I don't know, and I don't know how to find that out unless you can give me a definitive answer, Sarah. It depends upon the insurance company.
It does.
Yeah, and you don't remember your insurance company. So, Mr. Ali, he's not paying the $8,000 that it's going to take to fix your car. That's what you have insurance for. Okay? But he's going to pay the deductible. You have insurance. It's a brand new car because you have a loan. So you must have insurance, which I'm sure you do.
Yes, I do.
Then if you were having a difficult time with Mr. Miller and his insurance, which I could probably understand because it may exclude his dogs from the policy, you have to advise your insurance company. And I don't understand why you didn't do that.
But I was going to see if he wants to go ahead and fix it.
Well, he's not paying $8,000 to fix it. He's going to pay the $1,000 deductible on your policy.
He was suggesting me that he could just go and get a spray paint and paint that little thing. And I didn't like that idea. And I said, let's go to Tesla and have it done by the properly from...
Absolutely. I agree with you. It's a brand new car. You should have it done by Tesla through your insurance.
That's true. Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000, which covers your deductible. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Animal control said my dogs were so loving and peaceful. They showed no aggression to them.
I mean, I like to have people as good neighbors.
Even after they put the pole and the hoop around their necks, my dogs were wagging their tails.
The neighbor's dog has some damage to my car, and I want the neighbor to be up to that responsibility.
The plaintiff bought a new Tesla and has a loan on the Tesla. When you have a loan on a car, you're required by the lender to maintain insurance, both collision and liability. This is not a malicious act. It was a careless act. And I think he should use his insurance to pay for it. I think it was fair. I don't think that there was an issue of fact. Did you?
No, I didn't. I think that that was fair because you have insurance for that purpose so that you don't have to pay $8,000 out of pocket to fix damage from an accident. So he should have used it.
Should have used it.
Won't get one over on us.
No.
Case 2090, Oquendo versus Villarreal. All parties, please step forward.
Amber Oquendo is suing her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, for unpaid rent.
Ms. Oquendo, you own a home.
Yes.
How large is the home?
It's 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and approximately 1,700 square feet.
When did you purchase the home?
2018.
Can I ask you what the cost was?
$225,000.
And you live there in the house, just you, with whom?
I don't live in that house. That's my rental.
You bought it as a rental? Somebody was playing their music loud. It was a problem for you.
Yes.
You asked them to be quiet.
Yes,
you
Your
told her it was a problem.
Yes.
And then there was some sort of a kerfuffle. I don't know what happened. You want to tell me?
Amber Oquendo claims her former tenant, Nancy Villarreal, owes for unpaid rent. Nancy is countersuing for her security deposit.
Now, you bought it as a rental? You bought it as a business?
Originally, I purchased it and I lived in one room. My kids shared a room and I rented 2 rooms until I was able to establish basically a history of being.
In the ancient city of Kapilavastu, nestled at the foothills of the majestic Himalayas, there lived a young prince named Siddhartha Gautama. Born into opulence and luxury, Siddhartha was shielded from the harsh realities of life. His father, King Suddhodana, was determined to protect his son from the suffering and sorrows of the world. However, curiosity about the outside world often tugged at Siddhartha's heart. One fateful day, Siddhartha convinced his charioteer, Channa, to take him beyond the palace walls. As they ventured into the city, Siddhartha encountered sights that would forever change his life. He saw an old man, frail and bent with age, then a sick man, writhing in pain, and finally a corpse being carried to its final resting place. These encounters shocked Siddhartha, and he realized that old age, sickness, and death were inevitable parts of life. Deeply moved, Siddhartha decided to renounce his princely life in search of the truth about human suffering. One night, he quietly left the palace, abandoning his wife, Yasodhara, and their newborn son, Rahula, to embark on a spiritual quest. Siddhartha wandered through forests and villages, seeking wisdom from various ascetics and spiritual teachers. Despite mastering their teachings, he felt that the answers to his questions about suffering remained elusive. After years of intense meditation and self-mortification, Siddhartha realized that extreme asceticism was not the path to enlightenment. He decided to follow a middle way, a path of moderation, avoiding the extremes of self-indulgence and self-denial. One day, Siddhartha sat beneath a Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, vowing not to rise until he attained enlightenment. After days of deep meditation, he experienced a profound awakening. He realized the Four Noble Truths: the truth of suffering, dukkha, the cause of suffering, tanha, the end of suffering, nirvana, and the path leading to the end of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path. Transformed by this experience, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one. He spent the rest of his life teaching the Dharma, the universal law of truth, to all who would listen. His first sermon at Sarnath, known as the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, laid out the core principles of his teachings, including the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. As the Buddha's teachings spread, a community of monks and nuns, known as the Sangha, formed around him. They dedicated their lives to following the middle way and sharing the Buddha's wisdom with others. The Buddha's compassion and wisdom touched the hearts of many, from kings and wealthy merchants to humble farmers and beggars. He emphasized the importance of mindfulness, ethical conduct, and mental discipline as essential practices for achieving enlightenment. Over time, the Buddha's teachings spread far and wide, transcending cultural and geographical boundaries. His message of peace, compassion, and understanding resonated with people of all walks of life. The Buddha's life serves as a timeless reminder that true happiness and liberation come from within. His teachings continue to inspire millions around the world to seek the path of wisdom and compassion. Guided by the light of the Dharma, in India, there lived a king named Suddhodana. His wife's name was Mahamaya. They had no children. One day, Queen Mahamaya had a dream that an elephant was entering her womb. A few days after this dream, she gave birth to a son. The child was named Siddhartha. Siddhartha was a very intelligent and compassionate child. He was always ready to help others. He loved animals very much. Siddhartha's childhood was very luxurious. He had all kinds of comforts and conveniences available to him. But Siddhartha's mind was not interested in all these things. He was always thinking about the meaning of life. One day, Siddhartha told his charioteer to take him for a ride in the city. What Siddhartha saw in the city made his heart very sad. He saw an old man who was very weak and walking with a cane. He saw a sick man who was groaning in pain. He saw a dead person being carried to the cremation ground. Seeing these sights, Siddhartha understood that suffering and death are inevitable in life. He also understood that all the things of the world are impermanent. Siddhartha's mind was filled with renunciation. He decided that he would find a way to overcome the sufferings of the world. One night, Siddhartha quietly left his palace. He gave up all his royal clothes and wore simple robes. He shaved his head and became a mendicant. Siddhartha spent many years learning from different gurus, but he did not find satisfaction anywhere. One day, Siddhartha was meditating under a Bodhi tree. He vowed that he would not get up from there until he attained enlightenment. After meditating for many days, Siddhartha attained enlightenment. He realized the truth. He understood that the cause of suffering in life is desire. He also understood that suffering can be overcome by destroying desire.
After attaining enlightenment, Siddhartha became the Buddha. He taught people the path to liberation from suffering. He preached the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. He explained that there is suffering in life. The cause of suffering is desire. Suffering can be overcome by destroying desire. The path to overcoming suffering is the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path includes right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The Buddha preached the Dharma for 45 years. He showed thousands of people the path to liberation from suffering. At the age of 80, the Buddha passed away. After his death, his disciples spread his teachings. Even today, Buddhism is one of the major religions of the world. This story teaches us that suffering and death are inevitable in life. We should not be afraid of them. We should think about the meaning of life. We should find a way to overcome suffering by destroying desire. We should help others. We should be kind and honest. This story also teaches us that the path to success is difficult. We should not give up. We should keep trying to achieve our goals. We should believe in ourselves. We should respect our gurus and mentors. This story also teaches us that we should maintain balance in our lives. We should be neither too materialistic nor too spiritual. We should maintain balance between the two. We should take time for our family and friends. We should take care of our health. This story also teaches us that we should be happy in our lives. We should find happiness in small things. We should have a positive attitude. We should live in the present. This story also teaches us that we should be content in our lives. We should be content with whatever we have. We should not compare ourselves with others. We should accept ourselves. This story also teaches us that we should be humble in our lives. We should not be arrogant. We should always be ready to help others. This story also teaches us that we should be forgiving in our lives. We should forgive others. We should also forgive ourselves. This story also teaches us that we should be loving in our lives. We should love everyone. We should also love ourselves. This story also teaches us that we should be peaceful in our lives. We should be calm. We should stay away from stress. This story also teaches us that we should be mindful in our lives. We should be aware of the things around us. We should be aware of our thoughts and feelings. This story also teaches us that we should keep learning in our lives. We should always keep learning something new. We should keep increasing our knowledge. This story also teaches us that we should keep giving in our lives. We should give to others. We should give to society. This story also teaches us that we should keep receiving in our lives. We should receive from others. We should receive from society. This story also teaches us that we should live in our lives. We should live our lives to the fullest. We should enjoy every moment. This story also teaches us that we should die in our lives. We should die peacefully. We should not be afraid of death. This story also teaches us that we should live again in our lives. We should start our lives again. We should never give up. This story also teaches us that we should be successful in our lives. We should strive to be successful in our lives. We should work hard to achieve our goals. This story also teaches us that we should be happy in our lives. We should strive to be happy in our lives. We should keep ourselves happy. This story also teaches us that we should be content in our lives. We should strive to be content in our lives. We should keep ourselves content. This story also teaches us that we should be humble in our lives. We should strive to be humble in our lives. We should keep ourselves humble. This story also teaches us that we should be forgiving in our lives. We should strive to be forgiving in our lives.